Guys, this is Ronak. I know it's been a long time since I've put a podcast out, and it's been a great journey. I've got a great feedback for all the episodes till now, and I'm looking forward to interviewing more guests and bringing you podcast. Well, this one is not about any guests and not their experience, but it's about how to find a job in the stream of design. That was one of the questions that came with feedback from previous episodes as well. I mean, people wanted to know how to find a job. I've held some job experience back in India, and I've been in the job market here in United States for around 3 months. I just graduated with my master's in December, and I've been looking for jobs for 3 months, and I just landed one. Actually, I got three offer letters very recently, and I'll be joining my job really soon in 2 weeks. And I thought it's a good time for to put out this episode and talk about my journey and also give you some insights and feedback about how to land a job as a designer. All right, let's get started. First of all, I would like to make it very clear that it's a long journey to find a job in any domain, not only specific to design, but it's for any industry that you need to do a lot. You need to focus on a lot of things. You need to grow for a very long time to be able to find a job. This is how I look at it based on my experience. Basically, when you start giving interviews, when you start applying, basically, you're gonna you're going to improve with each interview, even with each application that you do, right? You need to take feedback. You need to learn from the job descriptions. You need to learn from the HR interviews. You need to learn from the interviews that you have with the hiring managers. And every single time you're going to take some insights from those interviews, and you're going to develop as a person, as an interviewer, and also as a designer. And that's how you're going to grow during your interview phase. And eventually, there's going to be that one interview where you will be exactly like what the job description requires and what the hiring manager is looking for. So don't expect, your first interview is going to be bang on, because that's something you're expecting too much out of yourself. I mean, it's a great thing that happens, that if it happens to you. But if it doesn't, it's nothing to be, sad about or feel wrong about. uh, and also consider the fact that getting a job, there needs to be a lot of things that need to align in order for you to have a job in that particular company. There are a lot of things, there are a lot of moving parts to it. Um, the company or the company organization requirement changes, and they suddenly don't want to hire someone. And the hiring manager is looking for a particular kind of person, and you're going to interview with the development people as well. The developer, wants to work with a particular type of designer. So there are a lot of things that need to align for you to get a job, and it will happen. It does happen. It happens every single day. Every single day there are new jobs. Every single day people get jobs. So it's just for you to grow and reach that point where you become the person on that particular day that gets that job. Okay, so what is this long haul? What is this long journey that I'm talking about, that one needs to go through to get a job, right? And I'm going to take reference from my own life, my own experience, because I feel I have gone through enough experience to give you those instances that you can take away from this podcast. Um, so yeah, I have divided my this podcast into two different sections. First one is marketing yourself. The second one is the show. Basically, the way you can look at it is that you have a film, you have made a great film, it has great storyline, great actors, great work, great direction, and you need people to come and watch this show and then, follow with appreciation. And the best way to do it, as we know, is marketing yourself initially. So, talking in design context, the first way to market yourself is preparing yourself with the required materials to attract people. And that's where your resume and your portfolio comes in. Talking about my experience, when I landed in the US, I started working on my resume just 2 months into the country. I still had 2 years to figure out a job, but that's what I'm talking about. You need to prepare for that instance when you're applying to the job. You cannot start preparing your resume a month or two before you're actually starting to apply for a job. It needs to be done a lot earlier. The reason being, just like your portfolio, just like your design process, your resume and your portfolio also needs to go through that process of feedback, of process of iteration, process of talking to people, gaining their insights about what they feel, and look at it as a process, your design process. In design, we really talk about talking to the users, showing them a prototype, discussing with them, what they really feel about the product. Do they understand the product? Are they able to, get what they want to look at? Similarly, that's what we're trying to do with our portfolio and resume. Show it to the hiring managers, show it to the designers, which are, available on social media. You know, send them your resumes, request them very politely for feedback. Ask them if what they actually think about your work, give them, questions that they can answer. So basically, that will give you enough feedback to improve upon. Now, the feedback can be very different from each different individual. I mean, in my experience, 50% of the feedback was in a different direction, and the other 50% was talking about something else differently. What would you do? What should we do as junior designers? What are we supposed to do with this feedback? A great way that I actually looked at it was treat this feedback as you would in your design process. When you're designing a form, for example, you don't really go ahead and change your address field just because one user was not able to add the zip code correctly. You will do it when a lot of users are struggling with adding the zip code or adding the address. So, more the data you have, more insights you have, and that's how you can actually make informed decisions. That's what we are supposed to do as a designer. So apply the same approach to your design process, and you will have a good resume, a good portfolio by the end of it. So for that same reason, it's very important for you to start working on your resume and portfolio very early, compared to when you're trying to apply for a job. I did it when I landed in the US 2 months down, and I started working on my resume. I attended a conference, I attended a few more conferences, I met a few people. I focused on getting insights from not only hiring managers but also junior designers, my professors, laymen, and trying to understand what actually my portfolio should be like. And resume, there are a lot of resources online as well, and design is a tricky field. It's very undefined, it's ambiguous. You cannot really understand what is required out of a job profile in the domain of design. There are different expectations set by different managers. What should we do as a designer to kind of get that job? The best way is to just put forward the best version of you. You don't have to impress each and every hiring manager. You just have to impress one. That's it. You just need to find the hiring manager that aligns with your way of looking at things and your design process and appreciates your way of providing feedback and taking feedback. So yeah, that's what I feel you should be doing. Start early, very early. Take your resume, start working on it. It won't be, it will be far from perfect when you start working on it. Same with the portfolio. I had to start redesigning my whole career when I came to US because things are very different. But I feel if I could have done that in India as well, I would have been in a much better place and with much better experience. So yeah, you can start very early, get insights, reach out to people, and that's it. You'll have a great portfolio, great resume, and you'll be good to go. So how should your portfolio be like? How should your case studies be like? I mean, there are a lot of different versions of portfolios online, and to be really honest with you, design is a very subjective field. And if you get one bad feedback, that doesn't mean you're a bad designer. It's just that you didn't align with that kind of feedback. But saying that, for the same reason, you need to have a lot of feedbacks to look at. So that's the reason that you need to take a lot of people into account to be able to build that perfect portfolio. And the thing about portfolios is you can have really great portfolio projects and case studies, and they can be some of your best works. And the hiring manager can look at them and still probably reject it because maybe they don't really understand that particular domain. I mean, if you're applying for fintech and you have projects, let's say in fashion industry, there are very less chances that the hiring manager from the fintech industry will be able to kind of relate to the project that you're showing them. It happened with me once. So what is the way to go about it, right? Your projects need to show your process very well and tell the hiring manager how you actually ended up to any design decision. It needs to be an overview of your process, but also it should show all the processes that you followed to get to the design that you're looking at. So when a designer from fintech or a hiring manager from fintech is looking at your project, which is from a fashion industry, they understand why you have designed things in certain way, and they can understand how you are going to approach an idea which is not really specific to fashion but can be very general. So that's how a portfolio case study needs to be. There is no secret sauce or recipe to create a case study. Eventually, what really matters to a hiring manager is if they can really understand how you did something. So focus on that, reiterate it, show it to laymen, show it to people who have no idea about the project. Get their feedback. Ask them, did they understand the project? Did they understand what you have done? And that's your way. You will be near to creating a project, a case study that is very easier for anyone to understand and judge you in the design sense. Awesome. Your portfolio is ready, your resume is ready, your banner, your trailer, your brochure is ready. Now it's time to sell your film. So how do we do that? Of course, the best way is to go ahead with LinkedIn. There are a lot of different portals online that you can go after, hunt for jobs on them. But I personally used LinkedIn a lot, and I also used startups.jobs, where I aimed at startup companies who were recently funded and they were looking to expand their teams. That is the best resource for you to start looking for jobs in the startup domains. So let's talk about LinkedIn. How did I pursue the application process on LinkedIn? There are two different types of application styles. One is actively looking for jobs, and one is proactively looking for jobs. Um, Proactive is when you deliberately try to reach out to people and talk to them, share your work, and try to connect with them, not just to get a job, but also to get feedback. What you're trying to do is you're trying to build a long-term relationship with them, which eventually will materialize into some kind of opportunity in the future. So that's why you need to start early. That's why you need to start connecting with people early and not just when you're just trying to look for a job. Think about this. When you're reaching out to people, asking them for a referral directly or in the second message doesn't really sound that great that, and you come across as very needy. But imagine you're just asking for feedback. Nothing harm can be done when a person is asking for feedback. So have that approach. Ask people for feedback and work on that feedback. I've seen people getting impressed by me when I took their feedback, thought about it, changed my portfolio on that, and went back to them and showed them the new updated portfolio. And that made them interested in me even more. They liked my work before, but now they also know that I take feedback seriously. And that's a very important sign to be a designer. So that's what you're trying to communicate with this relationship that you're trying to build with them. Talk about opportunities, talk about design industry and the whole, job hunt scenario that you're going to go through. Discuss it with them. There are two things that can happen. They can be very interested and they can talk to you and they can also share some insights. Or they will be less interested and they'll just give you feedback and politely say that they're busy. and they don't want to really communicate. Don't take that to your mind. It's okay. But at least the person knows you now. And when the time comes when you actually need someone to have that internal connection in the company that you can talk to, discuss about the opportunity, discuss about the culture of the company, and actually maybe ask for a referral, that's how you can ask them because they already know you, they have spoken to you, and that's the connection you built years ago. That's what happened in my case. The job that I've accepted right now, that actually came through a referral, the connection that I made 2 years ago. Yep, that's how I maintained my connections. I also made connections even before I landed in the US. I made connections in the company that I aspired to be in. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's how networking usually works, and everybody knows it. So no one would really judge you because you're reaching out to people just because you want a job. I mean, that's what LinkedIn is meant for, right? So leverage this platform, leverage the opportunity it's giving you, and make the most out of it. The second one is actively applying. This is cold applying, sending your job applications, and you need to do a lot of that. This is something that people generally do. It's something that is a given that you need to keep applying. But I would like to put a lot of emphasis on one single thing that people miss out on. Every time I applied for a job on LinkedIn, I went to the LinkedIn page of the company as well. I went to their people's tab and I put in a keyword in the search bar which was relevant to me, which is design, you know, product, those kind of keywords, and the list of their employees got filtered with every single designer in the company. And that's how I kind of found people to reach out, which would be near to the most valuable person that would be for me in the company. So yeah, that's a great way that one can approach. You need to apply a lot of jobs, a lot of these jobs at your own pace. So yeah, when you apply, also fill out the form, that's a given, but also reach out to someone. And reach out to two types of people. You can reach out to the recruiter, the HR, but also reach out to designers. And you can ask me a question. How do I know who to reach out to? It doesn't matter. Let's say you reach out to a director. If they really like your work, if they like your portfolio that you have prepared with such hard work for this 1 year that you worked on it, they are going to redirect you to the right person anyway. If you're going to reach out to managers, there is a good chance that you reach out to the actual hiring manager. And if you reach out to a junior designer, but if they really like your work, and this has happened with me, they reach out to their hiring managers with your profile and they want to work with you because you have that quality, that design sense that they really like. So reach out to people every time you apply actively. So this makes your active application also proactive in a way. Also, there are other platforms that actually can help you in reaching out to people. For instance, in my case, Twitter really helped me in reaching out to people, and it is a great platform where hiring managers directly tweet about, the openings that they are trying to fill. So this is a great platform. There is a good, big design community on Twitter that can actually allow you to have that exposure, and people keep retweeting these jobs. You can search for jobs using hashtags. It's a great way to find jobs and directly connect with people because it's not a job application portal. These are actually people putting up jobs. So you can directly drop them a message and take the conversation from there. Sell yourself. So look out for other platforms as well. All right. So you have been selling yourself very nicely. You have your resume in place, portfolio in place. You're selling yourself, putting up LinkedIn posts about your work, that you're looking for jobs, reaching out to people, commenting on people's posts that they're hiring. That's the best way to go. There are a lot of posts on LinkedIn where people are kind of asking other managers to comment if they're hiring or not. It's a great list of all hiring managers that they're looking to hire. Amazing place to find opportunities. Look for those posts, search for the hashtag hiring, and you will find a lot of people that are actually looking for new designers to hire. So yeah, this is all being taken care of. You're doing this well. Like with every conversion funnel, there are going to be very less people that are going to reply to you. There are going to be that there are going to be people that will be funneled out from your search, and for every 100 people that you apply, let's say, or reach out to, there are going to be, let's say, 10 or 15 that are going to come back to you. That's the truth. And you need to be prepared to take that kind of hit every time and until you find a job. So yeah, now people are reaching out to you and they're interested in your work. What would be the first thing that they speak about? Hmm, nothing. They just want you to redirect you to an interview. No one actually speaks a lot on chat, so you don't really have to worry that you need to be answerable to anything on a chat or on an email. In my case, I got both the interviews. Some of the people would redirect me to the hiring manager directly, and the hiring manager would give me an interview with them directly. So I kind of skipped the HR part of it. And then there would be some cases where I was redirected to the HR, and also some cases where I've kind of reached to the right hiring manager on LinkedIn and they redirected me to the HR so that I could go through the HR process first. In any case, you get that first foot in the door and you get that chance to interview. Again, as I mentioned, don't expect your first interview to go amazing. As I mentioned before, it's a process. You're going to learn with each interview, and there's going to be an interview which you're going to excel. So just hang on. All right, you get an interview now. That's amazing. You've done the hardest part. Applying and getting to an interview is the hardest part for me. Now you have an interview. Now you need to show them your projects. The HR round is something it's very easy, I feel. It's just to check if you are a sane person, in my opinion. They're going to check your visa, if you're eligible to work in the country, what your salary expectations, and every other thing. But the main part of interviews is talking to the hiring manager and showing them what you've got. This is what you've been preparing for the whole time. This is a great time for you to boast about yourself. Don't undersell yourself. Sell yourself like you're selling the best damn thing in the world. And you have some things to back it up. You have your portfolio, you have your experience, you have your case studies. For the first round of interviews, you're going to be asked questions just to see if you can juggle design well. Do you know what you're talking about? Why did you design something? Is not really something that will be asked in this round. This round will be just about understanding your expertise with not only design but also with working with different stakeholders. Have you worked with developers? Have you worked with researchers, marketing, sales? What was your collaboration process? All these types of things, which kind of gives the hiring manager an overview of okay, this person has this important interpersonal skill that is very important as a designer. So that's what will be judged for your first interview. In most of the cases, use this as a great opportunity to use those jargons of design. Tell them that you know what you're talking about, you know what design is, what design thinking is, how the whole process of design works. And it's a great question to ask for this round, which will be the process. They want to understand your process, just the overview of it, not in detail. And it will be a great space for you to also know how the designing team works in the company as well. As for the tools they will use, what is the process that they really look forward to, and these kind of questions, these kind of answers from the hiring manager will help you in framing your answers in the next interview. So you're past the first interview with the hiring manager, which is a great sign. By this point, I can tell you that they are very interested in you. They want to hire you. They are just looking for those small things that kind of are checkboxes for them that you need to tick. And you are actually in a very great position now, and you just need to sell your process now. Before this, you were selling yourself as a designer and what your experience has been. Now you're actually going to go into detail. You're going to tell them why did you do something in a particular case study. So this is the round where you're going to sell your project. Pick a case study that you are most attached to. This is something I actually did wrong. You do not have to pick a portfolio case study which you are most attached to, but you have to pick a portfolio case study that's very easy for you to explain. You need to talk about the process. It doesn't matter if it's something that came out of your heart. The case study needs to explain how you did something. So this is what happened with me. I took a project which was very long. There were a lot of data points, and I felt good about it. I wanted to show them, I can solve complex problems. I can, break down this data. I can build interfaces out of this data. I can make informed decisions. But for a case study presentation, that became an overly heavy presentation. By two interviews, I got rejects from two companies. That is when I realized, this is probably the project I don't really need to go ahead with, because the project was also taking me 45 to 50 minutes to explain. I had to decide another project. I went ahead with a simple project, but not too simple. I got a job within a week after I changed my case study that I wanted to present, and that case study actually landed me the job. So you need to pick a case study that has a balance of both complexity, but also that you can explain it to someone in that frame of time. Don't go ahead with the project that's very heavy to understand on the first go. You again, you're talking about your users here, and the users here want to understand what you can do in just 45 minutes. So pick a project, think about the users, and pick that project very wisely. All right, you're done. That's amazing. I know there are more steps that one can expect from a company, which is getting a design assessment. That's one of the things that a lot of companies like to give, but that's something I'm not in favor of, and I wouldn't even discuss because I have personally turned down design assessments in the process. It's not really the best industry practice, and I'm saying this on a podcast here because I want people to kind of preach this as I preach it. So, a big no to design assessments. So, what is that one thing that you should do, irrespective of what the result is? You need to reply and ask for feedback. Not all companies come back with feedback, but it's a great thing to ask for. The two benefits of it: you get feedback, which you can use to improve yourself and, not do that thing in the next interview. And the second one is it also leaves an impression on the hiring manager and tells the hiring manager something about you, that you are passionate about this role, that you're passionate about doing it the right way. So, yeah, ask for feedback in the end, irrespective of what the result is. I came into this process of the job hunting in a very confused manner. I luckily did some things that turned out in my favor, and that's what I'm trying to pass it on to you guys so you can leverage my experience. I hope this was very helpful. If you want me to cover any more topics, want me to go into detail for any particular step of the process, I'll be happy to go. Based on your feedback, I'll be putting out more videos. Looking forward to your comments and let me know what you think about this podcast. Thank you so much.